There are moments in life when a house may look normal on the outside, yet feel heavy on the inside. You walk through the rooms, but instead of peace, you sense stress, tension, exhaustion, or emotional emptiness. Many people today are searching for ways to bring calm, protection, and spiritual peace back into their homes. And throughout history, salt has often been seen as a symbol of preservation, cleansing, and blessing. Now, it's important to understand this clearly. Salt itself has no magical power. The power comes from faith, prayer, and inviting God's presence into your life. Salt is simply a reminder, a physical symbol of your desire for peace, protection, and spiritual renewal inside your home. The first place many people choose to place salt is near the entrance of the home. The doorway represents what enters and leaves your space. As you place it there, it becomes a moment of prayer, asking God to guard your household from negativity, fear, and harmful influences. The second place is the corners of the living room or gathering area. This is where families spend time together, talk, laugh, and sometimes argue. Praying over this space while placing salt can symbolize unity, peace, and healing within relationships. The third place is the bedroom. Your bedroom is meant to be a place of rest, yet many people struggle with anxiety, fear, restless sleep, or emotional heaviness. Placing salt there while praying can serve as a reminder to surrender your worries and invite peace into your mind and heart. The fourth place is the kitchen or dining area. This space often represents provision, gratitude, and daily life. As you place salt there, it can become a moment to thank God for His provision and ask for continued blessings, stability, and care over your household. The fifth place is near windows or hidden areas of the home that are often forgotten. Sometimes neglected spaces symbolize neglected parts of our lives, areas filled with unresolved emotions, stress, or spiritual distance. Taking time to pray over every part of your home reminds you that no area of life is beyond God's reach. But the real transformation does not come from where the salt is placed. It comes from the atmosphere created through prayer, faith, and intentional peace. A home changes when the people inside it begin to change, when anger is replaced with patience, fear with trust, and negativity with hope. Many people are searching for miracles while ignoring the small daily actions that create peace. Sometimes God moves not through dramatic signs, but through quiet restoration inside the heart and home. A calm conversation, a healed relationship, a peaceful night of sleep, these can also be answers to prayer. Your home should not only be a place where you live, it should be a place where peace lives too. A place where faith grows stronger, where love feels safe, and where hope is protected, even during difficult seasons. So if you place salt in these places, let it not be out of superstition, but out of faith and reflection. Let it remind you to pray over your home, protect your peace, and invite God's presence into every room. Because when faith enters a home, even the atmosphere can begin to change. There are times when a home no longer feels peaceful, even though nothing appears wrong on the surface. You walk through the rooms and sense tension, exhaustion, or emotional heaviness that is difficult to explain. Instead of feeling comfort and rest, the atmosphere feels draining. A home should normally provide peace after a long day, but when that peace is missing, it affects everyone living inside it. Sometimes this heaviness develops slowly over time. Stress, unresolved conflicts, financial pressure, fear, or constant negativity can quietly build within a household. Even if people stop talking about these problems openly, the emotional weight often remains in the atmosphere. Over time, the home can begin to feel restless instead of calm and welcoming. A restless home can also affect emotions and relationships. Small disagreements become larger than they should be, patience becomes harder to maintain, and people may begin isolating themselves from one another. Instead of unity, there is distance. Instead of warmth, there is emotional tension that seems to linger in every room. Many people try to ignore these feelings by distracting themselves with entertainment, work, or staying busy, but avoiding the problem rarely removes it. The deeper need is often spiritual and emotional renewal. A peaceful atmosphere usually begins when people intentionally bring prayer, gratitude, forgiveness, and calm back into the home. This is why many choose symbolic acts of faith, such as praying over their home or placing salt in certain areas as a reminder of peace and protection. Not because the object itself holds power, but because it represents a desire for change and God's presence. When faith, prayer, and intentional peace begin to fill a home again, the atmosphere can slowly shift from heaviness to comfort, from restlessness to calm. There are seasons in life when a person feels emotionally and spiritually exhausted without fully understanding why. Even after resting physically, the mind still feels heavy, unmotivated, and empty. Tasks that once felt meaningful may now feel difficult, and everyday life can seem overwhelming. This kind of exhaustion goes deeper than physical tiredness. It affects the spirit. Spiritual exhaustion often builds gradually. Constant stress, disappointment, fear, negativity, or emotional struggles can slowly drain your inner strength. At first, you may ignore the signs, believing it is only temporary fatigue. But over time, the feeling grows stronger, leaving you disconnected from peace, joy, and purpose. One sign of spiritual drain is losing interest in things that once brought comfort or inspiration. Prayer may feel difficult, quiet moments may feel empty, and hope may seem distant. It becomes harder to focus on faith because your mind is weighed down by worry, frustration, or emotional pressure. Another effect is feeling emotionally sensitive to everything around you. Small problems begin to feel larger, negativity affects you more deeply, and your patience becomes weaker. When the spirit feels drained, even simple situations can feel emotionally exhausting because you no longer have the same inner strength to handle them calmly. Many people respond to this exhaustion by trying to stay constantly busy. They distract themselves with entertainment, work, or endless activity to avoid confronting how empty they feel inside. But distractions only cover the problem temporarily. True restoration requires moments of stillness, reflection, and reconnecting with God's presence. Spiritual exhaustion can also create feelings of isolation. Even when surrounded by people, you may feel alone or misunderstood. This happens because inner peace cannot always be restored through external comfort alone. Sometimes the heart needs renewal that comes from prayer, faith, and emotional healing. This is why intentional spiritual practices become important during difficult seasons. Taking time to pray, reflect, read scripture, or simply sit quietly can slowly restore inner peace. Small moments of faith and gratitude may not change everything instantly, but they begin rebuilding strength from within. Feeling spiritually drained does not mean you are weak or abandoned. It may simply be a sign that your spirit has been carrying too much for too long without renewal. When you slow down, reconnect with God, and allow peace back into your life, you begin to feel restored again. And in that restoration, clarity, hope, and strength gradually return. Living in an environment filled with constant conflict or negativity can slowly affect every part of your life. Even when arguments seem small or temporary, repeated tension creates emotional exhaustion over time. A home or relationship that should bring comfort can begin to feel stressful and draining instead. Negativity often starts subtly. It may begin with frustration, impatience, criticism, or unresolved misunderstandings. At first, these moments seem normal, but when they happen repeatedly, they begin shaping the atmosphere around you. Over time, peace becomes harder to maintain because negativity has become part of daily life. Constant conflict affects emotions deeply. People may become defensive, easily irritated, or emotionally distant. Conversations lose warmth, and simple disagreements quickly grow into larger arguments. Instead of feeling supported, individuals begin feeling misunderstood or emotionally guarded. One of the hardest parts about negativity is how quickly it spreads. When one person carries anger or frustration, it often influences everyone around them. A stressful atmosphere can move from one room to another, affecting the mood and energy of the entire household. Negativity also weakens communication. Instead of listening with patience, people begin reacting emotionally. Misunderstandings increase because everyone is focused more on defending themselves than understanding each other. This creates a cycle where problems remain unresolved and tension continues growing. Over time, constant conflict can make a person emotionally tired. You may begin waking up already feeling stressed, expecting problems before the day even begins. This emotional pressure affects focus, peace of mind, and even physical health. The home no longer feels like a place of rest. Many people try to escape this negativity through distractions. They spend more time away from home, bury themselves in work, or avoid meaningful conversations. While this may provide temporary relief, it does not heal the deeper emotional atmosphere that needs restoration. Spiritual peace becomes difficult to maintain in a constantly negative environment. Fear, anger, bitterness, and resentment can slowly replace calmness and gratitude. When the atmosphere is filled with tension, it becomes harder to reflect clearly, pray sincerely, or feel emotionally grounded. Breaking this cycle requires intentional change. Someone has to choose patience instead of anger, calmness instead of reaction, and forgiveness instead of holding on to resentment. These choices may seem small, but they slowly begin shifting the atmosphere within a home or relationship. Prayer and spiritual reflection can also help restore peace. Many people find comfort in praying over their homes, inviting God's presence into their daily lives, and creating moments of unity instead of division. These acts remind everyone that peace must be protected intentionally. Constant conflict and negativity do not have to define your environment forever. With patience, faith, and a willingness to heal emotionally, the atmosphere can begin to change. A home filled with tension can slowly become a place of understanding, comfort, and peace again when people choose restoration over division. Deep inside, every person is the desire for a home that feels safe, peaceful, and filled with love. A house may provide shelter, but true peace comes from the atmosphere within it. This is why many people long for God's presence in their homes, not just during difficult moments, but in everyday life. Wanting God's presence in your home often begins during seasons of stress or uncertainty. When life feels overwhelming, people naturally seek comfort, protection, and stability. They begin realizing that emotional peace cannot always be created through material things alone. A calm spirit and a peaceful atmosphere require something deeper. A home filled with God's presence is not necessarily perfect or free from problems. Challenges may still exist, disagreements may still happen, and struggles may still come. But there is a difference in the atmosphere. Even during difficulties, there is a sense of hope, unity, and emotional strength that helps people endure together. Many people desire protection over their homes because the outside world often feels chaotic and exhausting. Every day brings pressure, negativity, fear, and uncertainty. After facing these challenges, people want their homes to become places where they can rest emotionally and spiritually without carrying the weight of the world inside. Prayer is one of the most powerful ways people invite peace into their homes. When individuals pray over their families, rooms, and daily lives, it creates intentional moments of reflection and connection. Prayer reminds people that they are not carrying life's burdens alone. This desire for God's protection also comes from love for family members. Parents want their children to feel safe and guided. Couples want unity and understanding. Individuals living alone still desire emotional peace and comfort. At its core, the longing for protection is really a longing for stability, care, and lasting peace. Sometimes people use symbolic actions, such as placing salt in certain areas of the home, lighting candles during prayer, or reading scripture aloud. These actions are not about superstition or magic. Instead, they serve as reminders of faith, focus, and the desire to dedicate the home to peace and spiritual renewal. When God's presence becomes part of a home, relationships often begin to change slowly. Communication may become calmer, patience may grow stronger, and people may become more mindful of how they treat one another. Spiritual peace influences emotional behavior in ways that gradually transform the atmosphere. A peaceful home also affects mental and emotional health. Walking into an environment filled with calmness and love can reduce stress and emotional exhaustion. People begin feeling emotionally supported rather than emotionally drained. This kind of atmosphere strengthens both individuals and families. Desiring God's protection does not mean living in fear of the world. Instead, it means wanting guidance, wisdom, and peace while facing life's challenges. Faith provides reassurance that even during uncertainty, you are not alone and your home can remain grounded in hope. Many people wait for dramatic miracles while overlooking the quiet ways peace enters a home. Sometimes God moves through small daily moments, a healed conversation, a restored relationship, a peaceful night of sleep, or a renewed sense of hope after difficult times. Protecting the atmosphere of a home also requires intentional choices. Kindness, forgiveness, gratitude, and patience all contribute to spiritual peace. A home cannot remain peaceful if negativity, resentment, and constant anger are allowed to grow unchecked. This is why spiritual habits matter. Taking time for prayer, reflection, gratitude, or moments of quietness helps maintain emotional balance within the home. These practices create an environment where peace is strengthened rather than constantly disrupted. Over time, a home centered around faith and peace becomes more than just a place to live. It becomes a place of healing, encouragement, and emotional safety. People begin feeling comfort there because the atmosphere reflects love, calmness, and spiritual grounding. The desire for God's presence and protection in your home is ultimately a desire for lasting peace. It reflects the hope that your home can become a place where fear loses its power, where love grows stronger, and where every room carries an atmosphere of comfort and hope.